Hey guys, I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl, the podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Grace Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. I'm so excited. I missed you guys. I want to say that first. I haven't seen you in a couple days. It's been wild. A lot's happened. But I'm excited to talk about it with you. I thought that with cuffing season being like in full swing, literally everyone I know is getting engaged. It's insane. But with all of that happening, I thought that it would be nice to do a two-part series where I just talk about how to really enjoy both seasons of life. So there's how to enjoy being single, which is today's episode, and then the next episode will be how to enjoy being in a relationship, or like, I guess, maximize your time. Like, there's pros and cons to both, but I think there's just like a lot to talk about and advice to give for both. So that's basically what we're doing. I've noticed that literally everyone I know that's single kind of hates it, and it's just so sad to me because when I was single, I absolutely loved it. I had so much fun. I mean, you know that I love Josh like with everything in me, because getting me to not be single anymore was like a lot. That was a big decision. So obviously that shows how much I love him and the commitment that I have, because wow, being single was a good time. I'm gonna tell you how to enjoy it, have so much fun, and just make the most of that time like I did. Before I jump into all that, I of course have to do my life update. So let's do that super quick and then we'll jump on in. So it's been a really busy week for me. As you know, I graduated from the University of Kentucky and I just graduated in May, so I still do a lot. A lot of my friends are still in school. So yesterday I went to counter day. I didn't go to the football game or anything. I just went to a couple of the more sporty bars with my friends and then went home to watch the game, and really disappointed that we lost to South Carolina, but it's okay. I understand a lot of our best players were out, so it's okay. All is well in the world. Also, this morning we ran up to Louisville, where my family lives, to take my nephew's one-year-old pictures as well as his family pictures for my sister. So I need to edit those minimally and kind of go through and send her the ones that I like. But that was fun. They live in a cute little farmhouse, so that was a good time. I really enjoyed getting to see him. He's literally growing so fast. I saw him last week and he looked like a baby, and this week he looks like a toddler, and that is a lot for me to handle. Literally. Too much for me to handle. Also, I am starting my new job tomorrow, so that's really fun. I feel good. I'm nervous. I feel like it's like the first day of school tomorrow, but not like college. It's like the first day of high school tomorrow. You know that feeling where it's like you pack your lunch and you're like kind of jittery and you don't know what's gonna happen? Obviously it's school, or work, so there's a lot less gossip and a lot more working and things like that, I think. But I'm still excited because I really like this job. I really am excited to see like what it's like, what the work culture is like, and hopefully stay there for a really long time. So that's gonna be really cool. Like I mentioned, I don't know what the upload schedule is gonna be like yet. With me going back to working, I think I work like, I work regular hours, but I don't know my hours yet either. Once we find that out, yeah, we'll be on our way and things will be a lot easier. Oh, I found Josh and I's Halloween costume. I'm really excited about that. I literally was just laying in bed one night and came up with it. So, you know, money is kind of tight this month, but I think that we can make it work. I need to like make an outline because I know what we're gonna be, but I haven't really came up with like the actual costume yet. So I need to kind of figure out what that's gonna be, decide if I'm gonna make it or just like get it on Amazon or whatever and go from there. Okay, we need to talk about the weather. If you are in a seasonal state like me, where there's 4 seasons, what is going on? We literally get all 4 seasons in one day. This morning I woke up and it was 30 degrees and now it's 70 degrees and I don't know who I am. I don't know if I need to have my seasonal depression yet. Like, when, that was a joke, I have depression 24/7. But like, what is, I just needed to like shout out the weather because it's really keeping me on my toes. I don't know. Whew. it's a lot. There's a lot happening with the weather. Lastly, I have entered my fitness girl era. I updated my phone to the iPhone 16 or iOS 16. LOL, we don't have an iPhone 16. It's been a day. But we get the fitness app now, and I've never had an Apple Watch, so I didn't know about this whole ring thing, and I'm really competitive and I want to complete my rings, and I am in my fitness girl era. Now that I have a job, I'm hopefully going to get a gym membership again, and I'm just gonna live my life, like run my little heart out, because I love doing cardio. I don't like running, but I'll walk at a high incline, and sis, that, what is it, the 13,330? I do 15,330 and it works. I used to do it 5 days a week and I was snatched, but I'm really, really excited to get back into that. I just forced Josh to take the dogs for a walk with me, and he was not as excited as I was. I think he enjoyed it once we went on the walk, but yeah, it's getting colder out, and I don't know. I need to go see my horse too. Like, there's a lot at play here, and it's kind of stressing me out, but I'm trying to not get stressed out and just go with the flow and live my life. But we'll see how that goes, because the stress be stressing, you know? Sometimes you live life and sometimes life lives you. And usually I'm one or the other because I live in extremes, but I think I'm right in the middle. Also, if you're watching this on video, I've just been like throwing this pen around. Like, what am I doing? Who is she? I look like I'm teaching a class. Like, today we are going to be single and we're going to love it. I don't know. I think that is it, so let's go ahead and just jump on into the topic for today. So, being single. I think the very first thing that you need to do when you're single and you're not happy about it is you need to stop seeing it as a burden. Like, it's this horrible thing that's happened to you, because that's not what being single is. Nothing is wrong with you. You should not tie your self-worth to being single. Just because you're single doesn't mean you're a bad person or you're not enough of anything. You are enough as you are, and being single is like so fun. I think a lot of people think of it as like a stop on the way to a destination, but it's not. It is the destination, and then maybe something comes along and you'll move to a new destination and life happens, but it's not like a one stop on this life. Like, it's, when you think of that, you're living in the future for a future that might not come instead of living in the present. And I think when people are single, that's how they are. They're like, oh, when I'm in a relationship, oh, I can't wait to be in a relationship when this time comes, when that time comes. And it's like, no, just like, don't see it as a burden. It's a good time, like, genuinely. But you need to accept first that it's not a burden. Do these tips that I'm going to give you, and then you'll see how great it can be. Like I mentioned, it has nothing to do with your worth. I think that being single is a time to focus on your worth, actually. Shut a lot of things out and just get down to business. So I really encourage that. I'm going to talk about that in a second. My notes are kind of everywhere today, so we're going to bounce back and forth a lot on this topic. But it's not a time to just, I feel like people write off the time when they're single. Like, not only do they live in the future, but they also just write off this time, like it doesn't matter, or it's not going to matter. And it's the building blocks of who you are. Like, you're finding yourself. I think everyone needs to be single at some point in their life. Like, some people mature faster than others, so with high school sweethearts and things like that, I understand like how that can work and how it doesn't work for other people, because it's all about your emotional maturity. But I do think that taking time to be single, whether it's for a month or whether it's for years, and finding out yourself and talking about some things I'm going to get into in a second, is essential for everyone to just kind of have like a game plan, understand who they are, and build a foundation to, not even a foundation, build yourself up so that you know who you are for when the time comes. If you're wanting to one day be in a relationship, use this time to become a better person independently, so that when you introduce someone into your life, they are more of an accessory to the person you already are, instead of becoming your entire everything. Like, codependency is healthy to a certain extent. You don't want to be completely dependent on someone. You guys want to both be independent. Like, it's a spectrum, and hyper independency and hyper codependency are both not very healthy. So trying to find somewhere right in the middle is where I think it's good, but you can't do that unless you learn to become independent on your own. You need to know yourself so that you know your limits, you know what you like, you know your boundaries, you know what you're into, for you to be comfortable, like find the right person for you first off, but also be comfortable to say no, be comfortable to say, this is actually what I'm interested in. And you know how in shows, the person will be like, so what do you like? And then they'll tell them and be like, oh my gosh, me too. And they don't actually like that. And then that's how the entire conversation goes. And then they're building this persona of this person that has so much in common with the other person when they actually don't. Does that make sense? That's not what we're trying to do. You want to be your own independent person who the other person complements your strengths and you complement theirs, as well as you help where they're weak and vice versa. Like, Josh and I don't have everything in common. There's things he likes and there's things I hate. You know, like, it's not about being someone else. Like, it's not about being an exact replica of whoever you're dating. And you can't really know that and decipher that until you know who you are, which is why it's so important to kind of find yourself when you're single. So like I mentioned, make this time about you. I mentioned this in one of my first episodes, but the best advice my mom gave me is when I went to college, she told me it was time for me to be selfish. And it was, I would call her and say, I can't come home this weekend. She'd say, okay, well, this is your time to be selfish. It's fine. Like, she didn't really want me to come home, and I was holding on to it more than she was because she knew, like, I need this time for me to find who I want to be, find my likes and dislikes, find my friends, all of those things. So make this time about you. Eventually, you're going to be in a relationship where you can't make it 100% about you. And I'm not saying to 100% lose yourself, like I mentioned earlier, but you're going to have to compromise on things. And it's not going to be nearly as fun as doing whatever you want all the time. Not that it's not fun. I feel like I don't know what I'm saying here. Like, it's obviously relationships are great, but like being single is great too because you get to do whatever you want and you don't really have to think about, oh, well, this person likes this. Oh, well, they want to eat here. Oh, well, at this time they have to do this and I want to make plans with them. Like, it's literally just all about you all the time. And yeah, you have friends and family and things like that, but you really are 100% in control of what's going on, especially when you become more serious and move in with someone, eventually marry someone. You have to make more and more compromises and you have less and less time to do what you want. Like, it's still important to make time to do what you want, but there's not as much time. Like, you don't have as much time to do whatever you want when you're in a relationship. That's just how it is. So this is your time to do whatever you want, decorate your house how you want, cherish the time, and just do you. Like, don't overthink it. I'm not saying to be a super selfish person who like doesn't take anybody else into account, but what I am saying is don't take anybody else's advice too seriously because you're gonna eventually come to a point where you are having to take somebody else's advice into account all the time. So if you don't want to listen to somebody's advice and they're just like a friend and they're like, no, I think you should decorate your house this way, don't listen to their advice. Decorate it how you want because eventually you're going to have to share a house with someone and you will have to compromise. Like, you can't do the whole house in pink, unfortunately. I learned that. And it's fun, but not as fun, you know? On that same note, I know everyone says this and it's kind of been a trend on TikTok, but it's important to date yourself. Find what you like to do, find what you don't like to do, find what you like and don't like overall, and learn how to be alone. Learning how to be alone was the hardest thing I ever did. My winter break of my senior year of college, I decided to stay in my house by myself. All of my roommates left. And just take it as a time to like focus on me, like heal any trauma. There was just a lot going on. And I was completely alone for 2 weeks. I mean, I think I like still hung out with friends and stuff, but it was very minimal because all of my friends went home for break. It was basically just me. And I was so sad. I think for the first week, I didn't want to be alone. Every time I was alone and I didn't have like music on or something to distract me, my anxiety just went crazy and I cried like a lot. There were a lot of tears. But by the second week, I loved being alone because I like learned more about myself. One thing about me that I tried to do is I try to go for drives with no music on because I love driving. It's kind of like a therapy for me, but I always had music or a podcast or something on. So I would take my dog with me and I would just go drive and I would see how long I could go without having to turn something on. And I learned a lot about myself because the reason that we do that is so that we don't have to think. And the minute that we start letting ourselves think, we start thinking. And it's not always great, especially if you have anxiety or some of the things that I've mentioned and you have some unhealed trauma. I hear you, sis. It's not the most fun thing in the world. So learning to be alone is so important, and not just alone in a literal sense, but alone in a metaphorical or analogical. I'm not sure what the exact term is. I've been out of school for a couple months now and I've completely forgotten everything. But, learning to be single is great because when you learn to become independent and stand on your own 2 feet without anybody else or bringing anybody else into the equation or needing anybody else, it's so much better when someone comes into whatever, like, you start dating and things like that because you realize that you are keeping people around not because you need them and you're dependent on them, but because you genuinely want them. And it should be the same for them. I think we've really romanticized needing someone, and we've really romanticized the idea of someone not being able to live without you. But I don't think it should be like that. We should be able to be independent and know our worth and stand on our own 2 feet, and we should just have someone as a support, but we should be able to live without them, if that makes sense. Like, I personally, and I think Josh and I connected on this, we both wanted a relationship where we can be independent and go to work and be our own bosses and be ambitious and be driven in our work and do whatever we need to do. And then at the end of the day, we can come home and talk about all of our stories and how this happened and that happened, and we can go hang out with friends, but we can do both. Like, we can be alone or we can be together. It's not one or the other. And like I mentioned, I really just think this is like not talked about. Like, everyone just kind of made this idea of like, oh, you can't live without him. And that's not exactly great. That's not a great look. Like, you should be able to live without anyone else. And when you are able to stand on your own 2 feet alone, everything just feels better because no one's really holding anything over your head. Like, if someone were to leave tomorrow, you would be totally fine. I mean, obviously, emotionally, you would probably be a little torn up and you would need time, but your whole life wouldn't be completely ruined, is basically what I'm saying. So that's basically what I mean by being independent. Also, I think it's important that you do the things that you can't do when you're in a relationship. So going out with friends and flirting with guys at bars and, be irresponsible, stay out till 4 a.m. Like, it's so fun to just do whatever and not have to wait up for someone or vice versa. And like, that phase of my life is obviously over, and I understand that, and like, that's what you do. Like, when you get into a relationship, you're no longer doing those things, and I'm totally fine with that because like, I found my guy. But when I was in that phase, it was a good time. Like, just going out with friends and calling each other and saying, hey, what are you wearing tonight? Oh, that's what I'm wearing. Like, I'm wearing this. Like, oh, do you want to do this before? And like, being safe with hookups, but like, you can do them if you're into that. It wasn't really my thing, but like, whatever, Like, these are things that you can't do when you're in a relationship, and they're really fun and you should do them. Like, stay out as late as you want. Go do whatever. Obviously, don't ruin your life and like choose going out and parties over life, but just be a little irresponsible, because I feel like if you like I didn't want to look back when I was older and say, dang, I wish that I would have done this, or this. Like, I wanted to say I did it all. And I did it all. Obviously, safe things. I'm not talking about anything illegal, but I did it all. And now I'm like ready to settle. We're happy. We're doing our thing. And I don't have to look back and be like, dang, that sucks, because, you know? And I think that everyone should feel that way. Like, if there's things you're not interested in doing, by all means, don't do them just because I told you to. But if there's something that you've always wanted to try, now's your time. You don't have anybody else's timeline or responsibility or anything on your shoulders, and I say send it. I think another important point that we really get too caught up in is life is not about being in a relationship. It's definitely a part of who you are, but it's not your entire identity. Like, for example, my name is Grace, and I am in a relationship. Yeah, that's a part of how I describe myself, but it's not my entire identity, you know? Like, there's so many other things about me. I have so many friends that I love hanging out with. I go to the barn, and I absolutely love my horse. I have a podcast that I absolutely love. I love the color blue. I am a nature person. And none of these things have to do with the relationship I'm in. Like, your family, your friends, your career, there's so much for you to focus on that are an aspect of your life that is not reliant on what kind of relationship you're in. And I don't think that we should look at our life and denote it to being, oh, I'm single, or oh, I'm in a relationship. Like, don't obsess over it, I guess is what I'm saying, because I know I have a lot of friends that are single and their entire life is about no longer becoming single and doing everything they can to get out of this relationship. And like, let's like, to each their own. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do, but that's not healthy at the same time. Like, it shouldn't even really be a concern, because when the right person comes, they're going to come along. Like, you're not going to have to force it. It's going to be so easy. I've told you guys before, when Josh and I met, we were not thinking about our relationship status. We were just having fun, and it was kind of effortless. I think on the same topic, like, I do want to talk about the whole if he wanted to, he would thing, because guys, come on. We have to admit it's a little bit toxic. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't put any effort into getting into a relationship, but I am saying, like, what is this? Because there's times, especially like now, that I feel like the people that say it don't actually have any like solid relationships to back up their claims, because like, now that I'm in one, I'm like, I mean, Josh has wanted to multiple times, but he didn't, and it had nothing to do with me. Like, he just didn't. Like, he wasn't in the mood, or he didn't feel like it, or he didn't, like, he literally didn't think about it. Like, boys don't think about things like that. They just don't. When I was in high school, pretty much, we had a marriage and family class, and the teacher told us the best advice. She used to tell me that boys have a nothing box, and they can literally go in their mind to a place where they think about absolutely nothing. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's true. Like, if guys don't want to think, they can. I don't think I've stopped thinking since I came out of the womb. Like, I've been analyzing the trajectory of my life and how far we are from the sun and all the different things that are going on. And I don't get it. Like, I don't know how they do it, but Josh definitely does it, and it's like a switch. He just turns it on. So I definitely believe that boys don't even think about it. It's not on their radar. They aren't strategizing what time they're going to text you and things like that. Like, obviously, I guess there's the occasional few, but in general, they're not strategizing what time they're going to text you. If they want to text you, they're going to text you. And it's not like, I don't know, like, we take it so personally. Like, if a guy doesn't text me, oh, he doesn't like me. And it's like, no, he's playing pickleball with his friends, or he's playing basketball, like, or he's taking a nap. Like, it's not that deep. We take everything so personal, and it's not that deep. I just think that if he wanted to, he would thing is so untrue, because I've wanted to and I don't. That's one argument. But also, guys just don't think like us. Like, if we wanted to, I think we strategize a little bit more. We get in our heads and that's why we don't. But boys just don't. It's not that deep. Like, it's really not that deep. So I think that we need to stop saying if he wanted to, he would. Like, the other day, I was like, oh, man, I wish Josh would have done XYZ. And then one of my friends was like, well, if he wanted to, he would. And I was like, he works 60 hours a week. So, like, he wants to. He just can't. You know, like, there's a lot more going on than just, like, a blanket statement. So I think that talking about that, like, when you are dating and you're single, like, when you're single and you're trying to get into a relationship and just writing off guys by saying if he wanted to, he would, is really toxic, and we should not do that anymore. Okay? I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna bring it up again. Seriously, this is the time to find yourself. Make mistakes, do dumb things, learn, grow, find who you are, wear outfits that you think might be a little bit outrageous but you absolutely adore, and maybe you don't have the courage to wear them, but do it anyway, because you are eventually going to shift your focus to living a life where you're trying to fit someone else into it. And this is a time where you don't have to do that. You don't have to think about anybody but yourself and maybe your dog. Like, wear the outfit, go out to the party that you maybe don't want to go to, hang out with friends. You and your girl gang should be tearing things up right now. You should be stepping on the scene. You should be having the time of your life, because your girl gang, like, this is prime girl gang time. Me and my girl gang at the time, like, we were together every single day, like 5 of us, every single night. We went out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We did everything together, from riding our horses to class to everything. And, like, that's a little extreme. You don't have to go that far. But it was so much fun. Like, so much fun. And you should be having that much fun. I can do an episode on how to make friends, but I'm not very good at it, so I'm still figuring that out, and then I'll let you guys know what I discover when I discover something. But yeah, if you have friends, cherish them. Live your life. Vibe out. It is the prime time. I'm not even kidding. For girl gang. Go hang out with your family. Go make cookies with your grandma. Do all these things, because being single doesn't take up that much time, but being in a relationship takes up a lot more time. You know? Also, self-care nights, immaculate. Figure out your self-care schedule. Figure out your workout routine. Figure out your diet. Figure out all these things before you get into a relationship, because it's a lot easier to implement them into somebody else's life than get into a relationship and then be like, I want to completely change out my complete routine, because, like, it'll be fine. You can still do it. But it's easier when you've already got it set and you're like, these are my non-negotiables, than to try and implement it into this whole new thing that you're still trying to figure out yourself, you know? Yeah, I think I said that right. Words are really hard. I know you hear it a lot, but seriously, know your worth and don't settle for a guy because he's the first one who calls you and you don't want to be single anymore. I've seen this happen so many times. Girlies that I know just, like, settle for the first guy who gives them attention, and he's genuinely not a great guy. Like, criminal records, still not doing the best, and everyone's just kind of like, what does she see in him? And you can kind of tell when a girl does it because she's insecure and doesn't want to be single anymore, and she feels like her worth is tied to if she's in a relationship or not. Whether, you know, instead of just being like, no, I deserve a king, you know? And I'm not trying to bash on other women. Like, girls support girls. If you see something in him, go off. But, like, there have been times when it's just like, sis, you're a 10 and this dude's a solid 4. Like, you could do so much better. You're so beautiful inside and out. And you can just tell, like, this is their first relationship, never kissed a guy, and they just want to be in a relationship so bad. And then they end up, every time it ends up, the guy cheats on her and she gets in a lot of hurt. They break up out of nowhere. She gets really upset. They end up getting married and then they get divorced. like years down the road, they have kids together, and then he leaves when he finds out she's pregnant. Like, there's all kinds of horrible things that happen. And I'm not saying this will happen, but I am saying please don't be that person that just jumps on the first guy who looks at you because you feel like your worth is tied to it, because you are so much more than that. You deserve the absolute world, and you deserve a guy who treats you right. And as long as he treats you right, nothing else matters, but make sure that he does, okay? Keep him on his toes in a good way. This is also a good time to do what I talk about all the time, and that is ruthlessly editing your life so that you are your best self. You should do this for you. You shouldn't do it because you want to be in a relationship and you want him to have your best version. That's definitely a motivator. But you should do it because you want to be your best self, because you want to. No one else. And when you are single, you have no distractions to get in your way. You are able to be selfish with your time and your energy. And when you are becoming your best self, like I mentioned before, you are becoming more confident and you are knowing your worth, and you're going to attract people into your life that are vibrating at that same level, who are worthy of your time and also value the same things you do and want to better themselves just like you do. So focus on yourself and see what comes along. Don't be thinking about if Chad is going to the party tomorrow. Think about how cute you're going to look tomorrow and how much fun you're going to have. Like, don't even pay attention to him, because he'll, you're going to attract people based on your energy. And if you have this beautiful vibrating energy because you just love life and you are working on you and you are vibing out, then you're going to attract so many people. But if you're like sitting there super sad because you always are looking for an opportunity to get into a relationship, like, and that becomes your entire being, it's just not the vibe. Like, that's not what we're going for as we end 2022 and go into 2023. We want to be independent queens. They're gonna come along when you least expect them. I think that's the point that I want to end this on, because I genuinely am so serious. Live your best life. Focus on your friends, your family, your career. Perfect time to build your career, build your empire, sis. Get that coin. Be financially independent. I'm still working on that, and it's not the best thing in the world. It's really hard, and I wish that I would have been more financially stable when Josh and I got into a relationship, because I feel bad asking for him to pay for stuff, and that's something that, like, I could have totally avoided. Also, I mean, I was in school, so, like, there's only so much you can do, but I definitely could have done more. Like I said, you're beautiful just the way you are. You radiate love, light, energy, and you are going to continue to grow and become the best version of yourself. And there are so many beautiful, beautiful people out there, guys or girls, that are going to be drawn to you and your light. So I think that that is everything that I have on the agenda for today. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Let me know what you thought in the comments if you're on YouTube. If you are on anything else, any other platform, don't forget to leave a rating or a review. I can't talk. If you leave your Instagram handle, I will shout you out in my next episode or on Instagram. And I love you guys so, so much. If you want to join the community of girlies all working to become the best version of ourselves, whatever that girl means to us, that's what we're going for, then go ahead and follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and on whatever platform you're listening on. We are having a good time. I try and post on Instagram all the time. I post on YouTube every single day. It's an episode on all platforms, Wednesday and Sunday, and then I post shorts every other day. So if you are looking for some comedy, some fun, some love, some cry, who am I? I meant tears. We are healing together. It's a hard journey, but it's a little less hard with you guys here by my side. So I love you so, so much. If you're watching this on Sunday, I hope you have a great week. I love you to the moon and back. If you are watching this at any other time, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night, and I will see you in my next episode. Bye, guys.